Hello there. Welcome to Dark Horse Paranormal. We forgot to play our intro, didn't we,
Yes,
Kristen?
we did.
I click it. Okay. We're trying a couple new things tonight, so bear with us. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Chris Carr,
And I am Kristen Johnson.
and I got to do one little thing.
Fear the Crab Cat.
And if you're a fan of the Y Files, you know why I just did that little maneuver. That's the AJ move when he begins his show, the Y Files. Kristen got me this wonderful shirt, which I'm going to show you again because I love it. It says,
There it
Fear the Crab Cat, which is the co-host, a kind of funny little mascot guy named Hecklefish. That's his cryptid, the Crab Cat. We have a great show for you guys. Thank you, Kristen. I love this shirt. We're actually going to try a new format tonight. We're going to do our live show with our guest, who is amazing, and you're going to love his story. And then we're going to take some of that video and we're going to do a little going back to our roots, some production, and meaning audio and video production, adding to it, and then putting it out in another format, maybe a more professional format. And I think you guys will appreciate that too. So we'll be posting links to that when it's done, and all the pages where you're watching us now, and you'll be able to check that out. So that is fantastic. I see a bunch of you out there. Hey there, Zen Jen Pinkstone. How you doing? Saw you were on with Nathaniel recently, our good buddy Nate. Jack Kilowatt, what's going on?
Hi, Jack.
What's happening? George, what's going on, buddy? How are you? Again, we want to thank all you guys, and let's get right to business. We're very excited to talk to the man that lived in the Bothell HELL House and experienced all the phenomena that we know quite a bit about ahead of time. His name is Keith Linder. He's a professional in the IT field, having worked at some of the largest tech companies in the world, including Dell, Microsoft, Phillips Healthcare, and Verizon. In fact, he was one of the people to pilot the Kinect Cam in the Xbox One, and he got some very interesting results at that time in this house in Bothell, Washington. We're going to get into that as well. His hobbies include fishing, which is great. Fishing, sports, particularly football and basketball, movies, and sci-fi. 2012, Keith Linder and his girlfriend Tina relocated to a house in Bothell, Washington, near Seattle. Their experiences in that house introduced them to the paranormal community and forever changed their lives. Regardless of whether you believe in the paranormal or not, the evidence and stories presented here that we're going to talk about tonight may make you reconsider your beliefs. One expert in the field, Robb Tilley of the Australian Institute of Parapsychology Research, has praised the thorough and well-researched nature of this case, ranking it alongside other famous poltergeist cases such as the Enfield Poltergeist, which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with, South Shields Poltergeist, Bridgeport, Connecticut case, and the Matthew Manning case. The Bothell House is a significant contribution to poltergeist research. Let's bring him right on. Hello, my friend. How are you?
Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Chris, Kristen. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for being here. And sorry about that kind of a little bit awkward intro. We wanted to try some new things with the music, like I was explaining it kind of gaffed. We have a whole video we play before we go on, too. And I missed it, but that's all right because it's a live show. We're live without a net. And, anything can happen. Anything can happen. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful thing being live like this. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Maybe you could walk us through the park a little bit about your experience for those in our audience that are not familiar with your case. Just outline it, and we'll go in depth in the different areas after that.
Please.
Our case or story, I like to say ordeal, started off, fairly normal and casual and innocent. almost you can say cliche in the sense of it was May 1st, 2012. My girlfriend at the time, Tina, and I had moved into a house together, and upon moving in, began to experience weirdness on day one. So, full disclosure, we had two separate places we lived in. We had been together 2 years, and this was sort of a, I don't know, I guess going the extra mile or, uh, you know, condensing our relationship. And it was my idea that we live in one place. And I had taken on a new job and a new promotion, so that sort of helped also. But yeah, we moved in. May 1st was the day I went with Tina to go get the keys to our new home. Lovely home, the Bothell House, as we call it, two-story home, is on the suburb of Seattle, Washington, about 20 minutes outside the city of Seattle. Uh, the home, as well as the neighborhood, were all built around 2005. So it's a fairly new home, new neighborhood, um, a family neighborhood type neighborhood. So um, when we got the keys to the home and then met the homeowner, our landlord, we're renters. We signed the papers, shook hands. Um, and the first thing that me and Tina witnessed or experienced while there, uh, the homeowner had left, and we're just talking, just having a casual conversation like most couples do in an empty house. Now, we have no kids, we have no pets, there's no furniture, the power to the house is not even turned on, so the house is eerily quiet because it's an empty home. So, in the middle of us talking, we heard a kid cough, and
A
it was a
child
very
coughing.
A kid cough.
a
Yes.
kid cough, yeah. And it sounded like a male child cough, but it was very distinct, and I'll never forget it because as soon as we heard it, me and Tina, we paused and we looked at each other and we were like, because we thought we were alone in the home, and we're like, was that a kid cough? And we both said it at the same time, was that a kid cough? It sounded like it came from one of the rooms upstairs. We're downstairs. We're sitting on the living room floor. Um, but we didn't go researching. We didn't go fact finding or poking our head in bedrooms because obviously, um, in a home this big and us having no familiarity with anything, it seemed logical to us that noise had to have come from outside.
Mhm.
Sure. It would be easy to rationalize it, right? And just think, okay,
Pretty,
yeah,
yeah,
something house break.
pretty strong.
But it's kind of funny you both said kid cough, right?
Yeah, that was very interesting. We both said, and I put that in my book because I want people to know the importance of that. That's how it sounded. There's no distincting or mistaking, if you will, this sound in particular when both of you said, "Is that a kid cough?" Um, and that sort of laid the foundation of what's to come with this house and what me and Tina are about to witness as we move in. So fast forward 2 weeks or so, I'm moving in, and I totally forgot about this kid cough, but I noticed items that I own are missing, particularly my spare car keys, my extra set of car keys that I never used. I got a brand new car, the dealership gives you two. This was in my glove box. I've never used it, but I did move it from old house to new house on the glove box. And I noticed that was missing. And so I was scratching my head about that because I'm a guy who doesn't lose things. And there's no real way to lose this key if you never use it. And it's been in the box for, at that time, about 2 years. Then Tina, almost at the same time, comes to me um, saying that she's have items missing too. She's finding her jewelry. She's not missing earring, missing bracelet, and um, I thought that was weird because I don't, rummage or trek through Tina's jewelry box. Um, and then comes dinner time, or morning, we both started noticing our silverware depleting. Now, when I say depleting, I mean you have to understand we're moving in together. So I'm bringing in a trove of, well, not a trove, but a few of my silverware, combining it with a trove of Tina's silverware. And so we have an abundance of silverware, obviously. However, as we started living in the house 2 weeks, 2 weeks turned to three, four, we started noticing, I did first, why am I always looking for a fork, knife, or spoon? It seems I'm always running, leaving the kitchen drawer and going to the dishwasher to retrieve an item when
Mhm.
I know we had more when we moved in here. So that was weird. And Tina would ask me, "Hey, are you throwing the knives and forks away after the meal?" And I'm like, "No, are you?" But once again, where can you go with that when it's just the two of you here, um, and we don't have kids, so it's not a case of kids doing that. And then um, waking up in the morning, I've told you things that are gone missing. Now we're waking up in the morning and we're finding things that neither of us own, which is kid toys. And when I mean we're finding kid toys, I mean it's a two-story home, so I get up in the morning, come downstairs, turn on the coffee pot. There in the staircase are kid toys, small Hot Wheel cars, trucks, whatever, um, girl jewelry, plastic jewelry. Um,
Yeah, yeah. No, this is kind of what I was talking about before we went on the air about apports, right? Like these weren't your items.
right, these are not our items, and they're put out in the open. I mean, I've moved in places where you find something behind a fridge or a large appliance that obviously fell back there when the old tenant was there. These things were on kitchen counters, coffee table, and so we thought, once again, we're far from claiming ghosts. We thought we were being pranked or somebody was coming in our home while we were sleeping. Sounds far fetched to think that, like who would do that? But we
Right.
got we got this evidence, right? And we're not.
But
I mean, what other thing could it be?
right. It sounds more far fetched to say that it was actually to some people that it was actually like a ghost or a spirit entity coming in and playing. But Hot
Yeah,
Wheel cars. So
Right. I think it was funny that you used punk as a kind of, you alluded to that in your
yeah,
book. And, that was a show at the time, right? Being punked and
yeah. That's where our
somebody
mind was at. That
joke
was
on you or something. Because, like, where does this crap come from? Like, why is it out here? Um, Totally reasonable thought.
so. I had you know the home security system upgraded and installed to eliminate that possibility. I said, okay, and then we had all the locks changed, um, and we thought that would eliminate it, but it did not. It did not slow down the appearance of kid toys. It did not slow down the waking up and finding every kitchen cabinet door open in the morning. So, you know, we were like, okay, is this going back to your the word punk? We thought we were being pranked. Okay, this is somehow, you know, because this is that time frame of reality TV shows, and maybe we had
2012, right?
a big brother house and we didn't know it, or something's about to give. And
Mhm.
right when we were asking that question, because we didn't know where this was going. Okay, well, this is where is this going? Okay, and it was a middle of the week. It was middle of the week night. Me and Tina were watching television, side by side, shoulder to shoulder. And Tina, when she moved, she brought in this plant, this 4 foot tall ivory plant, plastic plant, but 4 foot tall. And she sat it by the entertainment center, by the television. And as we're watching a movie on TV, both of us together, the plant darts up in the air. I mean, leaves the ground and does a 360-degree spin, full spin, in front of both of us. Happened very fast, and then falls over, keels over to the ground in our direction. Now we both saw this. This is not an instance of Tina went to go get a drink or went to the restroom, and I got a story to tell when she gets back. We both saw this, and I remember we looked at each other. I'm looking at Tina, she's looking at me, and we're like, did that just happen? you know, No earthquake, no earth tremor, no. This plant just rolls up out of the blue. Now, we leaped up, and went toward the plant because now we thought, aha, this is where the balloons and confetti comes out because
Right.
we're rummaging through the plant looking for the remote control device.
Sure.
We're like,
The
somebody's going
fishing line and
yeah, somebody's going to come out, give us a trip to Hawaii or something. But when we got to the plant and we're not finding, I'm an IT person, I'm a tech guy. I'm not finding any remote control device, any invisible fishing line or anything. And it's just a plant there. And then I think it was either Tina or myself that says, I think we have a kid ghost. Because when we saw the plant do what it did, we went back into our memory banks and remembered the kid cough. We went back into our memory banks of my keys missing, the jewelry missing, Tina's jewelry, and the silverware missing, and the kitchen cabinet doors being open. Now, to confirm that, we went to my office and because we're new, we have no brush or experience with the paranormal. I know nothing about the paranormal. And it was a fair question to ask, how can you tell if your house is haunted? So, everything being Googled these days, we Googled the question, how can you tell if your house is haunted? And a lot of websites came up and they gave you like a list of 5 or a list of 10 things. And I kid you not, the 5 to 6 or 7 things that it listed, we were now currently experiencing.
Oh, that's funny. Because a lot of times those things are a little bit off.
Yeah, missing items.
Got a haunted house. But,
and we were like, okay. Yeah, so we were like, well, the next question after that was, well, what do you do with a kid ghost? What do you... And the internet, the paranormal websites were all in unison and saying, nobody was screaming malevolent yet. There was well, you might have a child spirit, might be lost, might be confused. Here's what you do, talk gingerly, nice to it, put on your parental hat, your parental instinct, and ask it to, quietly, nicely go into the light. And we printed those instructions off and we start reading that around the house. It also said, kindly ask for your things that are missing, kindly ask for them back. I was like, hey, kid goes, go into the light, be at peace, it's going to be okay. We're going to take care of this house. I don't even know why I'm saying that. We're going to take care of this house.
What would you know other than what's on TV or what's been, shoved down our throats by the media? Go into the light,
Yeah.
Give us our silverware back. And
kind of use those keys. Before you leave, can you give us back my car keys? Before you leave, can you give us... And, is it going to fall out the thin air or what? So I don't know. It's on its own timetable. But anyways...
Sure.
I want you and your listeners to know how, because we're going to go through this, of how me and Tina was sort of lighthearted at the beginning, and rightfully so, because we were thinking kid ghosts. The information we were getting online was like, these things are harmless, it'll die out on its own, here's what you should do, da-da-da-da-da. However, and this is where the milestone was reached, was when the plant did the 360. There's no more disavowing. There's no more prankster. Somebody's coming into your house while you're sleeping. All that's gone by the wayside. We know what we got. I can tell you the activity started happening more frequent after the plant episode. And a few days after the plant fell over, Tina's plants start being thrown. Okay. She has about 4, 6, 8 odd plants dispersed in different parts of the house. And the first time, you'll never get used to this. You're just watching TV, having dinner, doing dishes, in the sink, washing dishes in the sink. And something zooms by your peripheral. Shoom! And then you hear a crash. Okay? And you don't respond to that crash, and the plant that was supposed to be over here is over here and it's obliterated. Sometimes you will see the plant flying. You can turn and you see it impact, but most of the time it's going zoom, 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 zoom. Sometimes me or Tina would pick the plant back up because once again we're like, oh, you're throwing things now. Okay, that's okay. All right, go into the light. Be
It's a ghost
kind. Be
tantrum.
nice.
Yes.
Don't throw things. And I would put the plant back on the whatever it was on and look up in the air and say, "Don't do that again." you know. And as soon as you
Okay.
turn your back and go walking, so so okay, that's not nice.
Maybe it's not necessarily a kid, right?
Right. So that's where I'm going with this. So
Roles. We
I'm,
talked about
I'm reading the instructions, and it's like kid goes, and then the loud bangs come. One day me and Tina, hey, how's your day? How's your day? Work at work. We're eating dinner, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 boom. Or I'd be in my office upstairs, Tina be downstairs or in the bedroom, and we hear the boom, boom. I mean, the loudest boom ever, and yet
Well,
it doesn't seem loud. It's the weirdest thing ever. It says boom. It shakes the house. And me and Tim would always meet in the hallway. And the first few times that happened, we were like, what was that? Because you can't really trace the noise or what direction it's coming from. But it's loud. And it started happening almost every night after 8 o'clock, between 8 and 10 p.m. So that made me start thinking, okay, little Johnny is not being nice. We're gonna have to get somebody in here, and we bought churches and stuff in to bless the house, and said let's bless the house now. Let's do the
okay.
from room to room and whatnot. And the local churches did respond.
So you
And,
moved to that pretty quickly. You were hearing knocking and banging on the house, maybe banging on the roof too. I think it was in there.
well, not the roof. The noise we later found out came from the hallway landing because of the dent in the floor. Is what we attribute that from. Um, but you can hear it everywhere, and you could be anywhere in the house and you hear the bang. Friends would come over. I would have my Monday night football with the guys, and they would hear the bang. They would see the plants fly. Some never came back, but they did. Um, and then one night, and we're talking June, July. This is about June, July of 2012. Me and Tina are laying in the bed, and we're just talking about our day. The day is over. We're not talking about the haunted house. We're just lollygagging, laughter, talking about our day, and getting caught up on current event stuff. And I remember as we're being very lighthearted and sort of laughing out loud, um, the door slams shut, you know, and how our doors are, or as most doors, the doors come into your room. And this door was all the way into the room. And no wind, well, the windows aren't open. No wind or anything could have pulled that door and slam it that way. I know because I tried to slam it to see if I can make it louder or equal to that. And I'm a big, strong guy. I cannot duplicate the way that door was slammed, except to say it was like something reached into the room, pulled the door by the doorknob, and closed it shut. Now we're talking and laying on our back, talking, looking at the ceiling, and laughing, and then this door goes, shoom. And I think I put it in my book where I said, I'm going to stop saying to myself out loud and to Tina, I don't think this is a kid ghost. Uh, I
Yeah,
know
you
what
have to be a
that's
little
telling me.
freaked out.
Yeah, I'm getting the opposite reaction. So therefore, what do I do next? what
cute and playful turns kind of dark and a little bit nefarious, right? With the doors slamming now, it's no longer about kid toys. Are you still seeing kid toys at this point in the house, or is that gone and it's just moved on?
No, things come in. It's like a campaign. I describe it as you will have a season or a spell, if you will, of days or weeks of kid toys, of plants being thrown, of the loud bangs. As those taper off, other things taper on. Okay. Um, so we haven't had any kid toys in a while. We haven't had any waking up and coming downstairs, seeing all your kitchen cabinet doors open. But wow, we still got plants being thrown.
Now, at this point, let me ask you this, and I know you talk about this in the book. Most people might be under the idea like, okay, the door's slammed, the plants are flying, I'm out of here.
I'm out. Yeah.
Like it's that easy to do, right? But it's not always that easy to do, right?
Yeah. No, we were not at this phase. We were nowhere near close to. We're out of here, dude. See you later. No. Call me stubborn, call me whatever. I was not going to be run out of my house. I felt at the time, especially because this was all new. This is. We haven't even gotten to the malevolent stuff. This is borderline. So I felt that this is my house, and I have a right to be here. I've not wronged anybody to be here. It would just be wrong for me to just up and move. Now, I put a caveat to that or an asterisk to that when people asked me. I said, had I had children or kids or pets, because then I can't just think about myself. I can think about who I'm taking care of. And so that was my rationale. I have no kids. I have no pets. It's just me, Tina, and we agreed. And like I said, this stuff, it's frightening. It's frightening, but I want you to understand, it's frightening, but it's not frightening. You know what I mean? We're still at the level of it's frightening in the sense of you can be walking down the hall and then turn the corner, somebody else is coming on the other side. Ah! It's
right.
It's like that frightening.
As Irene has mentioned there in our comments, like you're probably a little bit financially worked into it, right? You guys are, moving into a house. It's probably bigger than
there's the financial aspect of it too.
There's the first month, the last month's deposits, all this stuff, and like, what do you say to your landlord, right?
Yeah. The financial component definitely weighs in. The amount of money to move in, to finally move in, and to get settled, and then break a lease, a 2-year lease with what?
The plant went
you're gonna have to deposit's gone. Good luck, goodbye. Good reference is gone because nobody's gonna trust you to move in elsewhere when you just broke a lease recently. And you tell people, I moved because there's a ghost. All right.
Yeah,
right.
It sounds ridiculous, right? We feel for you. I think we're absolutely in your bounds to say no. We're staying. Good question out here from our good friend Philip Wyatt. He was a paranormal investigator himself, and a damn good one. He asked, would the toys be of the time, or were they old, like antique toys?
That's a good question, because the toys were not of that time period. And what I mean is, they, toys put dates on the toys. There's a little date, copyright date on some toys, and these toys were toys from the 60s and early 70s.
Interesting.
Oh, here in 2012. Okay.
Interesting.
Not 2000, you're right, not 2012. Mm-hmm. And we know this house was built in 2005.
Right.
So these toys predate the house and predate that entire area of land, which researchers out there, that's a bucket load of information for a parapsychologist or poltergeist researcher, because it sort of strengthens the theory of, the items that appear in our house had to have been taken from somebody else's house. And what of the items that were taken from me and Tina, where are they now?
Yeah,
Right.
did they drop off the spoons? Here, I'll give you a spoon for a matchbox car. I'll give you,
Yeah.
yeah, leave them there.
Somebody,
You're saying, where did we get all this silverware from?
right. And we're talking 20, 30-year, 40-year difference has passed between the toys when they were made and they're appearing in my house. So these things can hold on to things. And we know that when we start talking about Bible number 1 and it going missing and catching fire. Because the Bible went first missing. It went missing for a year and a half. It's gone. And the period that it was gone was also the period where we went through a year without activity. So we know the house was dormant in 2013. By then, the Bible was taken summer of 2012. And then when the Bible returned on fire, spring of 2014, where was it in the interim? So we know they hold on to things, but where exactly? But that's all theorized in my third book as to where.
I see.
Yeah.
And our friend Bob Burnell
Yeah.
had a pretty funny comment. I'm going to put that back up because you're in IT, as am I. And of course, we're all familiar with the cloud these days. So when the ghosts take things, where do they go? Do they have cloud storage?
Yes, yeah, no, yeah. I mean, yeah, think about it, yeah.
They do, right?
Yeah.
They rent spirit pods. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. Great comment. Love your questions, guys. Thanks. Keep coming. That's what we're here for. I want a little interactive conversation as we move through the story, because the story, we've heard it before. It's a really good story, and there's a lot of data to support what Keith is saying. It's not like he's just saying this stuff or writing it in the book. We've got video, we got pictures, we got some of the best researchers in the world
Documentation ever.
looking at this stuff. And I'll say his name again, Steve Mara, and who else?
Don Phillips.
Don Phillips was there.
Kyle.
Fantastic. Grade A researchers coming in to look at this and analyze what's going on. And you end up with a lot of different theories, but certainly a ton of data. So move us on. Okay. So this is what's going on, and what happens now? Doors are now slamming.
Yeah, so right when the doors slam, that's when I told Tina I don't think it's a kid ghost anymore. So I'm gonna stop saying that. We need to look harder on how to remove this, because once again, where is this going? So both of us, our homework now is to tell friends, tell family, tell co-workers that you trust, because we need to start finding out ways to get rid of this thing. Okay, it's about to be all war of how to we make the house quiet. At the same time, I'm going to do some research in the home and find out, try to find out who lived here prior, what's up with the land, try to get some information if I can from the neighbors. And so it became a project in itself, but the activity is not stopping. Now, the next activity, or pretty significant activity, was the night I saw the gray lady. Okay. And this sort of, I guess, supported my belief that this is not a kid ghost, because this is once again, weeknight. I'm upstairs in my office, in my man cave. Innocent night, this totally innocent weekday night. Tina's taking a bubble bath, which means probably about 8 to 9 p.m. I'm working on my computer. And up to this day, we've already experienced the lights going off around the house. We're used to that. As I'm typing on my computer in my office, the light goes off. And I hear a click, light goes off, click, light goes off. I turn toward the direction of the light switch, because that's what the click sounded like. And there's a woman standing in the doorway. Now, the interesting thing about this woman standing in my doorway, which is relatively 7, 8, 9 feet, 10 feet from me, is when I pushed away from the computer desk, I thought it was Tina who was playing a joke on me. And I was about to admonish her So when I turned, I was like, Tina, stop playing, you know. Um, but me and Tina had made an agreement prior that we were not going to do ghost jokes around the house. No prank.
I'm sorry to laugh, but if
Yeah,
you
yeah, we did too. I mean,
I guess
yeah,
you
we
get to
said
that
no
point.
pranking.
No more ghost jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no ghost jokes, and so okay. But I was going to admonish Tina, and then when I turned toward the doorway, there's this woman standing there. And what I want your listeners to know and understand is this woman. She's all gray, and she's not see through. She's not translucent. She's not radiating light. She's not transparent or anything. She's what y'all would call full body, the full bodied apparition. I didn't know that terminology then, but I know it now. And she's standing in my doorway. I can see her plain as day because the hallway light that she's standing in my doorway is on, even though my light in my office is off. So as I'm looking at her, she now turns sideways and she's trying to go into the room to the left of mine, which is the washroom. She's trying to go through the door, okay? And she's trying to de-manifest, if that's a word, go through the door, but she can't. She half of her gets through the door, and then half of her comes back out. And this is happening in a nanosecond, and then finally she gives up, and then turns her back to me, and darts down the hall. She hurries walking down the hall. I still don't really know what I'm looking at, okay? But I get out of my seat and I give chase. And I remember when I turned the corner, I thought to myself, well, what are you going to do if you catch it? Because I didn't even know what I'm doing. This is more instinct. This is a knee-jerk reaction. I get around the wall, and of course, she's gone. There's nothing. I walk into our bedroom and walk into our bathroom, and look at Tina with the widest eyes ever, mouth wide open. And Tina looks at me, and I say, I saw it. And Tina's like, saw what? I was like, no, you don't understand. I saw it. She's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, there was a woman standing in my door, and she turned the light off and took off running. Tina, I saw it. I saw it. Now, keep in mind, we moved in May. This is now July now. We've had so much activity, but we've yet to have it's also a mascot to the phenomena.
A face. Right.
A face to the phenomena, to where now I said, I'm not going to say she's responsible for everything we've seen, but she's about to be the de facto of it all.
Sure.
I saw it. I saw it.
You can see how that would unravel that way. Absolutely.
And she turned off the light and kept on running or walking till I saw it. And I was like, what was that? And I remember her face, talking about the gray lady, was a look of both frustration, sadness, extremely fatigued, but very conniving, sneaky,
Mischievous.
very mischievous. I will put evil in lowercase letters, all combined. And it seemed like, because she turned off the light, and I was talking to somebody yesterday about this too, and it's always in my mind. I know what the spirits can do and what they've done in the past. You don't have to turn off the light physically in a Bothell house to get a scare out of Keith and Tina. They've done it already where they just mess with the lights and nobody's still in their switch. But she purposely turned off the light and made a sound. The sound resonated. The sound hit my eardrum, okay? Mm-hmm. And then caused me to turn toward the door, which she was still standing in, why she didn't turn it off and then poof, be gone. So there's that. And then there's the part where she could not go through the washroom door. So there's that. Don't you know that already? You can't go through the door. So I always ask this question back in my head. Whatever it was, she didn't plan an exit strategy. Wasn't good. However, I later learned through my research, my observing her, my ability to observe her, to see her, interfered or prevented her from disappearing right in front of me before going through that wall. And that's why when she turned the wall, when she started running, there's something about the laws of physics, of the uncertainty principle of quantum physics, where observing alters the reality state of that which you're observing.
Absolutely.
So the double slit experiment.
The double slit.
We talk about that frequently, yes.
And so that was my double slit experiment with her, where she could not go through the slit being the washroom door, with me observing her. But so she turned tail and got around that corner, she's gone. So that was interesting.
That's extremely fascinating.
Super interesting. A couple of comments out here. I'm just going to go through some of these because they're piling up. Irene says, "Oh wow, that woman Keith is describing died in the house, or maybe something tragic happened there." And then goes on to say maybe she can't leave the house or is bound to it. Our friend Nathaniel Gillis is out there and had a question about, I think, Irene's question. What's up, Nate? Carol says, did she notice that you noticed her? All right, that's a good question for you.
Yes, she did. Yes, we noticed each other, and that's how I was able to see her facial expressions. What I would give, I gotta say that carefully. What I would give to see her approach that door or a light switch and turn it off, or did she just poof and was there, or did she walk up to it, or what was the thought process? Is she huddling somewhere in a room with other ghosts and they drew straws and she drew the smallest one? See, that's where my mind goes and stuff like that. Because when I saw her and our eyes locked, I'm like, wow, I saw her face. Am I allowed to live now or go through life telling that story? Because, I saw her. And
right.
She was
like
not
a little bit of the Medusa thing. Like, am I going to turn to stone? Am I going to be
haunted?
Right.
What does that mean? And why? Tina never saw the apparitions. I'll tell you, whoever asked the question later, about was she a woman who deceased in the house. You're gonna love my answer when we get to that part of the story, but because it's gonna blow your mind. But Tina never saw the apparitions, and I saw the apparitions. This won't be my last time. No, not even close. But always female. The apparitions were, and like I said, full-bodied. When she went down the hallway, she made steps. She made pitter patter. So once again, and how our understanding of physics works, and what sound and what gets created by sound, and there was gravity there. She's not running through the floor, and as she's running, she's waist deep in the floor or anything.
Right.
No.
Right.
Or she would have been able to go through that door. That other
right,
door.
Exactly. Right. She's solid. She was solid.
Yeah. Solid.
And that just riddles my mind as to, man, what if, I know this is not going to happen. There's no way Tina would come around the corner while she's standing at my door turning off lights. But just imagine, what if you touched that? What would that feel like? A gray apparition was solid. Like, what would it feel like us? Is it sponge?
Excellent question. I'd love to know that. We'd love to know that ourselves.
We'd like to, and it seems, I love that it's a selective part of it, right?
Yes.
That she's doing this and she's making sure you see it, but not Tina. Yeah. And we've encountered things like that too, where selectively we could hear things, but they didn't go on the tape recorder. I mean, like literally be yelled at us and stuff like that. And how did that not get recorded and or be on one recorder, not another that was near it? Things of that nature. It's very interesting how they can do that, and they can. We completely believe you. If you have a group of 10 people and a full-bodied apparition walks down the stairs, maybe 3 of them see it. The other 7 stand there and say, "I didn't see it."
Yeah.
There's got to be some intention,
some selectiveness there.
Some placement thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's like she was, picking on me or chose me or especially the other apparitions that I see that look exactly like her. That's
I
going
have a
to
theory for this, so but that'll be later.
Philip
to-
says she may have thought he was the ghost. That's a funny comment.
I got. Oh man.
He went on to ask.
Ask me that question. Ask me that question later. Don't. Yeah.
Okay, we'll circle back on that one. He went on to ask, like, what time period do you think she was from? Was she modern, 2014 or 12?
She was modern. She was modern. She was wearing a dress. She had stringy angel hair, like hair, a little frizzy but straight. Came down, rested on her shoulders. Very very petite, very thin. I want to say frail looking, but she had a dress. Uh, I pegged her at between 5'4" and 5'6", 112, 109 pounds. Maybe 114. Uh, and yeah.
A bit like Becky, who's saying hi to you out there.
Yeah.
Becky Evans says hello, Keith Linder.
Oh yeah, yeah, okay. Oh yeah, so yeah, so in that, in fact, that was summer of 2012, and she, the Gray Lady, became the face of everything that happened there afterwards for 2012. The infamous housewarming party. I don't know if you got to that chapter in the book, where once again our friends have seen and witnessed phenomena themselves. The housewarming party that we had a few weeks or two, I think it was a month or so, 2 months after we moved into the home. All the women, my friends and Tina's, had their hair pulled. They would verbalize it. Me and Tina had a conversation before the house party of calling it off if things got too crazy, meaning the day of. There's been mornings when we woke up and the plants are just flying. So we said, if we get a feeling that this thing is going to show out in a room full of people, we're pulling the plug. And we had I guess a rule, me and Tina, throughout the night, to find the other person, meaning me find her, I find me, if anybody come with anything. And sure enough, they did. The women all throughout the night would come to Tina, or sometimes it would happen while they're standing next to Tina. Their hair was just pulled. All the women. Going back to that Gray Lady. Was that her? Don't know. Also, all the women were shoulder bumped. And most of everybody, everybody knew about Keith and Tina's house. We did not bring anybody here. There's about 12 people total in the house. These are our best of friends. So everybody's coming in knowing we got a ghost problem, but everybody's sort of like we are, similar jobs, occupations, similar age, and whatnot. They just want to have a good time, get their drinks on, and eat some food. But it'd be interesting if the ghosts would show out while they're there, but they're not going to wish for anything. So me and Tina, knowing that, felt good about them coming. And when the women start complaining about their hair being pulled, I would look at Tina, she'd look at me, I'm like, oh, do we call it? No, we're good. Everybody laughing. I'm filling up glasses and just giving them more liquor. So,
They're gonna need a drink.
we're good. But on the flip side, me, because I'm the chef, I'm barbecuing, so I'm in and out the back door because it's a barbecue pit. I kept getting locked out of the house inexplicably, a sliding door. So I go out, saute the meat, come back in, or try to come back in, and the sliding door is locked. And I would have to knock on the glass, and my friends, or sometimes Tina, would have to let me in. It happened so frequently that one of my friends asked the question without realizing it's impossible to lock yourself outside a sliding door. He was like, why do you keep getting locked out of your own house? And I would just sort of laugh at him and shrug and look at Tina and do like, do we call it? No, we're good. And then the front door, the doorbell kept ringing by. So, when you got a house full of 12 or 14 people, the doorbell rings. The guest can't always be the first one to the door, right? So the rule is whoever's close to the door, answer it, let whoever in. I don't know who it is. I think we're all here. But
sure.
Answer the door. And they would. They go to the door. Keith, nobody's there. Keith, nobody's at the door. And I look at Tina. She look at me. I'm like, call it. No, we're good. But that kept over
It's
and over that night of the doorman. And then your friends, bless their heart, like, man, you gotta get your doorbell fixed, man. I look at Tina like, dude, it's not the doorbell. Nothing wrong with the doorbell.
It really is too bad we didn't have like the Nest in 2012, right? Because it would have been so
effective. All the things we have now, I wish I could take back to the Bothell
We have
House.
good toys now.
Oh man!
But you did have things like motion detectors and alarm systems.
My favorite was the tripwires, because you just like actually called them tripwires, and I actually named things that. Watch out for the tripwire. Watch out for the tripwire. So when I saw that and I was reading as well, I was like, "Yep, I love this guy already." It's a tripwire.
Oh yeah, I mean, we didn't have Alexa, Siri, all that stuff back then. It would have been a nightmare, dude. It would have been.
Party's on.
They would have loved that stuff, dude. Oh my god! But anyway, so everybody leaves. The house party is coming to an end. Tina's best friend Kim and Kim's mother-in-law or godmother is in town, are the only two remaining. Tina's in the kitchen cleaning up. I'm sort of circling the house, closing windows and doors, and cleaning up. And Kim has spread out on the couch, has a direct view of our front door. So she's on her iPhone, chatting, texting. Her mom is sitting in the bar stool in the kitchen, closer to Tina. I'm bringing a sigh of relief. Okay, the night's over. I think we dodged the bullet here, no pun intended. But okay, I think we're good. And I remember Kim said, "Keith, I'm cold. Do you mind closing the window?" And I said, "Sure." So I go toward the window, living room window, by the sliding door. And as I about to close the window, I see something zoom by my eye. Shoo! And I hear that crash. And sure enough, boom, crash. Kim, who was sitting directly facing the front door, saw the whole thing. She had front row seats. The plant zoomed across her like this and hit the wall. Because Kim was on her phone, so she saw it like that. And she leaped up out of the couch and like, what was that? And me being sort of shocked, because I'm like, oh, you're going to start this now? It's 2 a.m.
Yeah, right.
Okay. But hey, I'm glad better 4 people than 12. So Tina comes running out the kitchen. Kim's mom gets up. We all go to the debris, the broken up plant. And Kim is hysterics. And she's like, what was that? And then Tina looked at Kim and looked at me and said, girl, I told you our house was haunted. And then turned back around and went back to the kitchen and started washing the dishes. Awesome. And then I remember Kim like wanted more info, like, that's it? And I'm like, Kim.
Well, now you want to know, girl, right?
Now you want to know. Now, when we're shopping at Macy's and we're trying to tell you about the ghosts, you're like,
I didn't care.
Dress. So Kim was wanting information. I'm like, Tina, didn't you tell her? He's like, yeah, I told her. And then the kid's like, well, you told me, but you didn't tell me like that. I'm like, what like that? That's it. Plants go flying. How more blunt can we be? Plants go flying in our house. So Kim was like, oh, wow. Okay. So she had to get her bearings a little bit, and then we had to tell the whole story all over again, even though we told her before. Kid coughed, da-da-da-da-da-da. So finally, Kim pulls out her iPhone and said, oh, okay, well, I'm going to try to talk to you. You got to be nice to these things. Be nice. And I look at Tina, I'm like, don't do that. Don't. They don't like to be talked to. But Kim does it anyway. She holds the phone up in the air and starts asking the questions that we asked 2 or 3 months ago. Who are you? Why are you here? Go into the light. As soon as she did that, boom, boom, boom. And I looked at Kim, I was like, I told you not to do that. Number one, you don't live here. We got to live here. You're going to leave in a few minutes. But The most eerie thing of all of that night was, and I don't know if you got to in the book, was Kim's godmother, who was visiting in town from Louisiana. Very spiritual lady said, hey, this happens all the time in the South. This stuff. You guys got some spirits in here, but what we're going to do is we're going to pray. We're going to all pray. Keith and Tina, I need for y'all to be strong. This is your house. This is your domain. What we're going to do is go into the other room where the plant was thrown, and we're going to form a circle. We're going to hold hands, and we're all going to pray. Everybody's going to say an individual prayer. Keith and Tina, y'all got to go first because y'all the masters of this house. Y'all say your individual prayer. We're going to say one. And say, I'm going to close it out with the Lord's Prayer. So I said my prayer. Tina said her prayer. Kim says hers. And then Kim's godmother says hers. And then Kim's godmother leads in the Lord's Prayer. So we're all bowed down, holding hands, hugging, and the prayer's over. We raise up. Tina's a little teary-eyed. It's a very emotional moment, a very quiet moment. Took about 20 minutes from start to finish. So we're all hugging, lollygagging. We're like, and to paraphrase what the prayer was we pray to bless the house, bless the tenants of the house, bless Keith and Tina. Mm-hmm. Keith and Tina mean no harm to anyone living here or confused here. We ask you kindly to go into the light and to be at peace. And then Keith and Tina will take care of whatever you left behind. These are good people. They mean you no harm. Whatever transpired, it's not their fault, but be at peace. And then we said the Lord's Prayer, and God is good, and all that stuff. It was a very emotional moment. So we're all hugging, I
like that.
Time to go back into the room we just came from, which is the den and the kitchen. So we all go back into the room and then the kitchen. It was only a few feet away. And I forgot who got to the kitchen first, because when we got to the kitchen, when you turn that wall, every kitchen cabinet door was wide open.
Oh.
The top, the bottom, the drawers were all pulled out. The closet door, the cupboard door open. And you and I couldn't do that. And you could give me an hour to do that, and I would still make a sound of some sort. We're just in the next room over, huddled and praying. We're not asleep, but we heard nothing except for the fact that all this stuff is open. And I remember, and I always do this with paranormal teams, as well as somebody like Kim's godmother, I always look at them when they witness phenomena for themselves, because I want to see their reaction.
Absolutely.
I did it with Dawn. I did it with Ghost Adventures. I did it with every paranormal team in my house. When they see phenomena, I look at them because I want to get their genuine reaction. I looked at Kim's mom, and her eyes were like,
I bet. This is a great talking point.
Yes.
Keith, I love this because we've been through it ourselves. And not to talk about ourselves, but it's just like when physics goes out the window and you're on, like for real, something happens that just makes no sense to your logical mind. It's scary, right? Even though the phenomena itself may not be all that scary. Okay, the cabinet doors are open and the drawers pulled open. Okay, well, it's not really threatening. But to see that, your mind just wants to bug, right? And when you mentioned the paranormal teams, right?
Yeah.
Come in and they've not seen phenomena like that. So they see that and they immediately think, oh my God, why tell me? And maybe it doesn't. It's just making itself known. It's not necessarily as bad, but it can take a few minutes to kind of reflect on it and say, okay, well, what's really going on here? Is it really negative?
And that was the we were all, nobody spoke much after that, because what could we say? We prayed for 20 minutes. We were very sincere. Tina's crying. I'm choked up. And like I said, the question I kept asking myself every day, where is this going? Okay. I know there's a crescendo coming. I don't know what, but what, when, and where. So, right. And then they leave. Kim and her godmother leave. And there's just Keith and Tina in the home. Cleaning up broken pottery, closing kitchen cabinet doors, and got to go to work tomorrow. It's just
Now, have you involved paranormal teams at this point, or is that coming up?
nope.
Not
The
yet.
only
Okay.
we reached out to some in 2012, but they were not. Yeah, I wouldn't want them in my house. And right when we started being more diligent about trying to find a paranormal team, believe it or not, the activity started tapering off, and the activity does taper off. You know, around October, November of 2012, uh, the activity tapered off, and by December rolled around, we've not had activity at all, and we were very blessed and glad. I cannot say what we did to make the activity stop, but we're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, me and Tina. Tina did not want to talk about it. I always did. I always wanted to know because the thing on the internet, the paranormal websites was telling us they leave. They will eventually leave. And I never bought into that because I'm my analytical thinker. My mind was, how do you know they leave? Did they tell you, hey, we're leaving? Did they leave a note? Sorry. And I would say, hey, Tina, do you think they left? And she's like, we're not talking about it. As long as activity stopped, why does it matter? And I'm like, okay, but did they leave? You know, they did nothing that they took us back. You know, everything they took is still gone. But okay, if activity is not happening, I guess that's a good thing. But I felt they didn't leave. Now we had no activity for the entire 2013. Okay,
The entire year.
the entire year.
Wow.
Nothing that I can really. I never felt that we were alone. And there were two instances that I felt was weird, but I was like, I'm not gonna bug Tina about it, but that is weird. One was in the dead of night. One night we were sleeping. This is the middle of 2013. The fire alarm went off in the house. It woke us both up. We went responding to it. It was the one downstairs that was doing the most ringing, but there was no fire. We looked at it, checked the battery. That was weird. I unplugged it and went back to bed. And I'm like, well, that was weird. That kind of got the hearts racing and pumping and us
Sure.
thundering downstairs in total darkness. But that was weird. I said, okay, all right. The other instance was the Xbox beta testing.
Oh, yeah. Now, this is really interesting.
Well, first, the fire alarm. Wasn't that your poster you said?
That's 2014.
That was for the next year. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm ahead of you now. Okay, so the Kinect was interesting. The Xbox was extremely interesting.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
we know, like the SLS cams that we use
Yes.
presently are based on the Kinect technology, often using the same very cameras that came with those Xbox Ones. And you were a pilot tester for Microsoft at that time, actually testing these things out for Microsoft before they became public, correct?
Yeah. So I had qualified and for to be a beta tester for the Xbox 360, which at that time was going to also be the brand new launch of the Kinect. If you remember, Xbox came out first with the black Xbox, big bulky thing.
Yes.
And it came out with what's called the 360. And the 360 came with the Kinect little thing. So
Yes,
I became a beta
sorry,
tester.
mixed up the models. Go ahead. Yeah.
And as a beta tester, you get a prototype of both of the 360 and the Kinect. And it's a 6 months thing. So you're going to have an Xbox in your home. You're going to play it. What they do is they remote monitor. They will monitor your gameplay. They really don't care nothing about you, but they care about the machine and the game. They're trying to test things out, especially the Kinect. This Kinect thing is the new semi-motion sensor AI type technology that's supposed to curtail the gaming industry and what it could do. So I take one home. They come home, hook it up, set it up for me, and I play it maybe 3 times, 4 times out the week for a few hours, and they monitor me at headquarters. Some nights, and they always give you a warning or a notice, they want to come on site in your home and watch you play. So this particular night, the project manager and her team come, about 6, 7, 8 people, and it's like a mini studio. They bring in cameras. They got me hooked up to audio recorder, a microphone, and they just want to watch me play. They're having me play games and scenarios, and to connect, supposed to be tracking my movement and all that stuff. It's really fun. It's really being a tech. I'm just loving it. I'm just loving all this stuff, this tech stuff.
Yeah.
And the games, I can see the games that haven't hit the market yet, but it's going to be cool when they do. So I'm playing all these games. And I want your listeners to know I'm not the only person in Microsoft that's doing this. They had 2,000 worldwide like me doing this, but different homes. So I'm not the only one, not by any stretch of the imagination.
Still pretty cool.
Still pretty cool, yeah. Even
I just put it out there.
Yes. I say that because what I'm about to say, no other team or no other beta tester experience. And that being, one night I was playing the game. Microsoft is in my living room. They're watching me play, as well as the people back at headquarters. And they're talking to each other. They got little mics and headphones. And as I'm playing, I remember it was the project manager as I'm playing. She said, "Keith, stop playing. We got something. Hold on. They're telling us they got something weird going on. Can you stop playing?" And I stopped. Okay. And they go huddle amongst themselves and like, what's going on? Well, and I remember what the guys repeated what the guy at Microsoft campus said. The machine is detecting movement around Keith Linder, and we don't know where the movement is coming from, and it just made everybody stop in their tracks because the AI, the technology, could not ascertain. Those familiar with the Connect and how it worked back in the day with games, movement and all that, it needs to know what is stationary, meaning couch, furniture, coffee table, sure, and what is movement. It's already accounted for me. It's already accounted for the people in Microsoft who are there. It's picking up another movement and it's doing the math and it's getting confused as to what's going on. Is this movement part of the game? No, it's not part of the game. Is it somebody in the home environment? Is it Keith? Is it Tina? Is it Microsoft? No. And that's where they were stuck at because the game is frozen the game is asking itself, the code, I need to take whatever is moving either to put it in the game with me or I need to disavow as you humans lurking around. And that's where they were stuck. Now, they're huddling amongst themselves and they cannot find out what's causing that. To one of the guys in my house said, "What are you seeing?" "Well, we're seeing these black shadows." And they're like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, we got these black shadows floating behind Keith in the kitchen. We don't know where that's coming from." And then finally the guy at my house got frustrated and said, "Well, just put it on the TV and we'll look at it." And they did. Okay, here you go, put it on there. And we saw it. And then you see behind me, I'm sitting like this, the TV's in front of me, but behind me on the TV screen, you saw these floating black masses. And I tell people, if you ever had those lava lamps, how the wax floats and all that, and the lava lamp, that's how it was doing behind us on the screen. Now, the screen is in some sort of gray pixel infrared. You can't see it with the naked eye. I mean, I can't turn around and see what he's talking about, but I can see it on my TV screen, and I can see my kitchen. It's all grayed out and matted out, but these things are floating, and the Connect is not liking that. It cannot ascertain what that is, and that's why it's frozen. So they were spending 30 odd minutes on that. And I remember one of them said, "We've never seen that before." That's why I was getting to you about the 2,000 people being a tester like me all over the world. And they've never encountered this particular issue before. Now, at the time, I'll be honest, I was not equating that to our activity because we're in the middle of 2013. I know nothing. I'm still with all I've seen and done. I still know next to nothing about the paranormal. I just thought it was weird, and I was excited just to be having an Xbox in my house. But later on, did I think about it because in 2014, when the activity returns, I went back to that night because I told Tina, I said, Tina, when those shadows were there moving, I wonder, is that what they look like in their dormant state? You know what I mean? Because they're here. I never felt them leaving. I never thought they left. And they, and I don't know if y'all read Steve Merrill's book or his report where he got on the EVP and a voice said that they don't like the infrared lights.
Yes. Yeah, I did see that.
They don't like that. And here you got this Connect. You know the Connect. I don't know if y'all seen the Connect in actually in a home in a residential environment. It puts all these white dots all over. You know that little. It blasts the wall green.
But you don't see them because they're in infrared, right?
Yeah,
so infrared. Like a grid.
A grid, yeah, like a grid, yeah.
And the Connect itself has an algorithm in it to kind of look for motion.
Yeah.
Right.
And put together figures, right? So it wants to track people. I mean, that's its goal is to track the player playing the game. It was a competitor to the Wii, right? At the time, was very popular, the Wii from Nintendo, and it somehow turned into a paranormal tool through this work, which is fantastic.
Which is probably you started that off.
So this is new technology. This is a beta prototype, and it's the poltergeist in our house, or they're not liking it too kindly, or just as interested or disinterested in it as we are, because it's got to affect them in some way. It is there's lights and white dots plastered everywhere, these little beams and stuff. So anyway, they saw that, and I remember it bugged them to death. They were very nervous about going to launch something with this checkbox still being a mystery. Being an IT, a program manager, we don't like putting products out in customers' hands. We'll put a bug out and say we'll fix it down the line after release date or something, but at least we know what the fix is. They didn't know what that was, and they didn't want that to come back to, no pun intended, haunt them, because the PS4 was coming out. Microsoft was trying to beat the PS4 and the PS3 with this Connect. They removed the data early with the Xbox 360 because they wanted to get ahead of the PS3. And this, they were like, you know, and to this day, because I would follow up and ask them, not because of the ghost thing, I just thought it was interesting. Did y'all ever find out what those shadows were? And I know.
Yeah. They're blobs, right? So the idea that it's a blob doesn't really translate well in the SLS world. Using a Connect, it doesn't really show blobs. It tries to make a stick figure. So seeing something like that does seem unique and different.
Yeah, these were blobs. I have two reenactment videos. I think I sent you them of what they look like. And I was able to, by the time I got around to writing my third book, I was able to find 3 other poltergeist cases of that phenomena of the floating black masses, of the shadows in the air, in America, Europe, and Asia, and I found that very interesting. But that was the highlight of 2013. Those 2 things, and nothing thrown, no more gray lady, no more electronic interference. So we had a pretty good time, me and Tina, in 2013.
That's good. I'm glad you got a year.
At least, quietness.
Yeah.
Downtime.
Yes.
Yeah. So
time with your lady. I mean, geez, you move in and like everything goes to hell.
Yeah. No more door slamming. No more objects thrown.
Chill a little bit until you break out the Microsoft tools.
Yeah. And I got a free 360 out of it. Being a bit
not too bad. Very desirable at the time.
Yeah, very desirable. So that was fun. Now, going back to those websites I said earlier, what they told us about the phenomena, and these things will die down. The jury is split on, do they leave, do they stay, or they die down. One of the things that they all said that bothered me was these things typically die down. They leave on their own, they fade off, and if they do, you're lucky they never come back. Rarely do they come back. Rarely. Everybody's citing all this data. They rarely come back. So, but toward the end in the fine print, at the very last sentence of every website I read said, but if they do come back, it's worse than before. And I remember when I read that in 2012, 2013, I was like, okay, what could be worse than what we already had? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, okay. So fast forward. It's January 2nd, 2014. The day after New Year's. New Year. All right, 2014. We are now officially almost been in the house 2 years. No activity. I'm in my office. I get out of my chair and I'm going downstairs to get a refill on a glass of water. Tina's cooking and making spaghetti. I go down to the stairway, the mid landing. It's a two-sided whatever staircase, but I get to the midway landing of the staircase and proceed to go down, and I slip. Boom! About 12 steps, I fall. Bad fall, horrible fall. And I'm 6'5", tall, big guy. And I remember when I landed on my back, I'm like, that was a bad fall. I don't know where the glass I was holding went, but Tina heard the commotion, didn't rush over because she thought I was playing. And so I'm like, and I'm doing a little mental, computer when it reboots, it checks things and all that. And I'm seeing if I got any broken bones. I'm wiggling my toes, fingers, hip, and I feel okay. I'm feeling pretty good. But my right knee feels weird. So I call out to Tina. Tina, come over here, help me out. I fell down. I'm pretty bad. And she's like, stop playing. I'm like, no, come over. So Tina finally comes over. And my knee is swollen. My knee is like a bowling ball. My right knee. And she's like, oh my God, what happened? Did you fall down? I'm like, yeah, I fell down. And so she, Tina's tiny, and she's helping me back up. I get up, and it's weird. I'm not in pain, but I'm in pain. And it was stupid of me because Tina helped me back all the way upstairs. I should have stayed downstairs. I go all the way back upstairs to my office, and Tina comes rushing with ice pack. Put an ice pack on. And we just wait. So finally, about 30 minutes later, I remove the ice pack, and my knee is the size of a beach ball.
Oh.
And I tried to stand up. I said, Tina, it's getting bigger. I said, it's ER time. Get the truck, get the van. Damn, I gotta go down upstairs again. I don't know how I'm gonna get out upstairs. As soon as I stood up, my right thigh, meaning the right leg, starts spasming. And what I felt was my kneecap was in my thigh.
Oh, that's cringe.
I tore my right patella when the fall. So when I stood up that time again, it snaps up into your thigh muscle like a rubber band. And it's an immense pain. Oh my gosh, so much immense. So I keel over, the keel ain't moving. So long story short, the EMT show up, the fire department shows up, everybody's showing up. And long story short, I had to get surgery a week later to reattach the kneecap. But now Keith Linder's back home. This is a few weeks after the fall. Way to start the year, right? And I can't go anywhere. I'm recuperating from surgery. Tina goes to work. I'm now semi-bedridden. I will not move around while Tina's gone. My knee needs to stay straight, the doctor says, like an ironing board for 2 weeks. So I'm in a cast, crutches. Okay. But as I'm sleeping while Tina leaves, Tina kisses me goodbye. Hey, I'm going to work. Bye-bye. Okay, bye. I'm in the bed. I go to sleep, watch TV, go to sleep. As I'm sleeping, or sometimes while I'm watching TV, I hear movement downstairs. I hear rummaging through the kitchen cabinets. To the point to where it's so real, I thought Tina was home. said, Tina, are you back home? Just like in the movie. Tina, are you home?
Mm.
And no response. And then
Tina's like a saint at this point.
Yeah, right.
She's like, coming through it.
I mean, the cabinet doors are open and closing.
Neat.
We all know what a cabinet door sounds when you close it, right? That's what I'm hearing. Like,
Yeah.
Somebody's in the house. So I text Tina, hey, question mark, where are you? She goes, oh, I'm at work. How are you? You okay? I'm like, yeah, all right. See when you get home. This became almost an everyday occurrence to the point to where one day I had to get out of bed because it was so loud and real. I hopped over out of the bed, grabbed my crutches, and made it to the hallway. Looked over the wall, the banister there, and screamed out, Tina, are you here? Or something like that. And the noise stopped. Okay? It stopped when I called out. Now, when I got back to bed, the noise resumed. But, once again, when Tina comes home, I try to tell her the story, and she doesn't want to listen. Now, that's not a fault I'm calling out. That's where we were mentally in the sense of we're trying not to think about 2012. And Keith, you're sick, you're wounded, you've never been home before, house makes noises, whatever. We're back to that kid cough of just being naive. However, I know what I hear when I heard it, but I'm not going to do anything. Okay, if that's the worst it gets, fine. Now I'm sleeping. Tina's back at work the next day. I'm sleeping, and there's loud banging on my headboard, right next to above my head. Boom, 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 boom. I wake up. Look around.
Mm-hmm.
No Tina, no nothing. So that started happening off and on. And I didn't tell Tina. I was like, I'll come keep that to myself. She's going to get mad. And I forgot what weekend it was. This is late February, early March. It was the weekend. I think it was a Sunday.
When you were waking up, I'm just going to note that's a hypnopompic state, right? You're in that transition state between sleep and waking up, and that's kind of the gateway we find in a lot of these kind of incidences. That's where they can get to you.
That's
so
where
you're
you
sleeping. You kind of
the
have to sleep or whatever.
Yeah, paralysis
Bum, bum, bum,
comes
bum.
in, and
Oh yeah, all that's coming, and it still happens to this day. You're right. That is how, because I get the banging or the tapping on the headboard, sometimes the slamming, sometimes the clap, by my ear.
Sure.
And I dart up and look around, or the door, the front door, knock.
do you ever hear voices? Do you ever hear a voice or anything?
Oh, all the time. Yeah, Keith, all the time. Yeah, female voice, Keith, around my ear. So that weekend Sunday, we were sleeping, and I just opened up and started looking at the ceiling because I felt we were being watched. It's just the weirdest feeling ever. Tina's knocked out, and I'm looking around the room, and I'm like, I know this feeling. We had it in 2012. I know this feeling. Whenever we felt this in 2012, an iron or an ironing board would go flying across the bed. So I'm looking around, waiting for something to go flying, but nothing happens. Tina's asleep. I get up, tippy-toe downstairs. I'm well now. I can maneuver a little bit, and I praying as I get down to the kitchen. Does Tina have some sage? Do we keep sage in the refrigerator? If I can find some sage in the refrigerator, I can dry it out by putting it on a cookie sheet and put it in the oven, and then sage the house while Tina's asleep. She won't be the wiser. And that's what I do. I get some sage leaves and I put it on a cookie sheet, and I let it put the oven on broil, and it cooks it down to, and then I put it on a saucer, and I go back upstairs and I'm doing this and I'm praying like, don't start this again, don't start this again, don't. And then I left it while smothering on the bookshelf, the hallway bookshelf, and I go back to bed. I don't think I was in bed maybe 5 minutes. All of a sudden you hear this clack, 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 clang, 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 clang.
Oh.
And I dart up, Tina darts up, and we run to to the hallway. Now, Tina has this. Well, we both have it. This giant armoire. This armoire that took 3 men, myself included, to carry it upstairs. It's a heavy thing. It's about 6'8". That's how tall the armoire is.
That's a big one.
It's heavy, and it's now resting on the other side of the hallway, and it's got a dent. It's punctured the wall. It's like leaning over like the Eiffel Tower.
What?
And it's punctured the wall. It's got a baseball-sized hole in the wall where the corner of it went in. And on the floor in obliterated pieces is the saucer that I had the sage on it. And it's broken all up. And Tina comes out. She looks at all the melee. I look at all the melee. Tina looks at me, turns back around, goes to the bed, and just starts crying. Just starts bawling. And I knew why she was crying. And I knew because we both read those websites together. And it always said when they come back, it's worse than before. And true enough, the next day, boom, boom, boom.
I have to say this: the sequel is always worse than the original. Right?
That's terrible.
Maybe there's some truth.
That's
to
some
that.
truth. Yeah, at some point. I mean,
Yeah, Aliens, Jaws 2.
Man.
Oh, wow. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of the house and like the disarray that ends up happening,
Yes.
and we wanted to share some of that. That it'll be in the next version of this video, where things are trashed, and like I'm surprised the house is still standing. As this progresses.
I've had a couple of questions that people wanted to know. Are you still living in the house?
No, thank God, no.
Okay.
I moved out the house May of 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was there 4 years, but no, you're right. And like I said, in keeping with the, I can tell people, yeah, it is worse when they come back. It's different as night and day. We're now going to get into the fires.
Oh,
The
yes.
spontaneous fires. You mentioned the poster caught fire.
Yes.
The 3 Bibles that caught fire. One was missing a year and a half and came back on fire.
Yes.
My clothing, while I was wearing it, caught fire. These things leave 2012 in the dust. The objects that are being thrown are larger. The chef knife, I had chef knives thrown at me. I've had beer bottles. People don't really think much about a beer bottle, 20-ounce beer bottle, They won't go flying at you projectile.
I just wanted to let the audience know and everyone know, the viewers, that when you say a chef's knife, you mean a cleaver. As I saw pictures of this, and I was like, oh my God, it's not a chef's knife. That's a cleaver.
Yeah, cleaver.
The thing is huge. Yes.
Yeah. Taken out of the sheet in the kitchen.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'm out
flying
of here.
through the hallway, lodges in the wall. The poster caught fire. The light fixtures on the ceiling blow up. Door slams. You iron your clothes with. Those things are now projectiles. It became so bad. This is how bad it got on certain objects flying. We started to move things like our silverware, the Sharpie stuff, like chef knives and cleavers and all that, outside.
Like outside?
Outside. Trunk in the car outside.
Oh my God.
We started using plastic forks and knives for a while.
Wow.
We started the iron, the iron outside. I can't iron anymore. Cleaners, here we come. Ironing board, nope.
Pretty
Can't
good
do that
idea.
anymore. Tina stopped buying plants because they just all destroyed. That's the plants, dirt, yeah. But some potteries have, the clay, the pottery.
Yes.
That stuff is dangerous flying through the air. People told us, well, bring in candles, white candles if you can. And so we brought in candles. Well, some of those candles were in glass candle holders, right? And those things are heavy, candle holders. And those go flying. And those are all videos on my YouTube channel of the melee and the debris. So everything I'm saying to you listeners, please go to the YouTube channel and watch those videos, because this was captured seconds and minutes after the attacks happened, and you can see. And some of them, it's called out, so make sure you read the description of the notes. There's voices on those recordings of them talking during the melee or after the melee, talking about the spirits. So yeah, all that. We can always tell in our room, meaning the master bedroom, when activity was about to jump off or we were in trouble, because you go to bed. Those who live in the Pacific Northwest know, even a house that's built in 2005 doesn't have central air conditioning. They don't come with that. Heat, yes. Air conditioning, no. We had a ceiling fan above our head, above our bed.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the nights, if it's hot, you turn the ceiling fan on, you crank open the window. That's about as good as you're going to get AC. Some nights you don't have it on, but whenever there was activity, if you turned the ceiling fan on, or if it was already on, it would go from silent, meaning the ceiling fans don't really make noise when they're rotated, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when the room got thick, like, oh, I'm feeling about to be watched, the ceiling fan would start squealing like 1,000 hands on a chalkboard. It
Wow.
drove me and Tina crazy.
That
They
would
do that all the time. It only did it when something's about to throw down. When it starts doing that, you got like 3 minutes. Something's about to happen. And something will happen. Something
Jesus.
will happen. So this particular night, the ceiling fan was off. And we had activity. And by then it was just a theory in my head. I was trying to put two and two together, correlate the ceiling fan making that awful noise to something being in the room with us. And I remember something happened in the hallway or something. We responded to it. And I said, Tina, I think something's about to jump off. And she's like, how do you know? How do you tell? I said, well, hold on. I'll be right back. And I turned on the ceiling fan. As soon as I turned it on, and that's the day the doors, the bedroom doors got tore off their hinges, like tore off the hinges, the bedroom doors, and the light fixture, you can't see above my head, there's a dome, blew up. Just blew up. The porcelain or whatever that is, the glass, whatever, blew up in the hall. It's about 3 in the hallway. Da 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 da. Poof, poof, poof. And the wires, somebody pulled the wires out, and they're dangling. Stuff's flying up and downstairs. And I run to Tina, and I'm like, the house is being attacked. We need to get out. And that's when we called the No Bull paranormal team, the first paranormal team, to set foot in the Bothell house.
We'll just go with that, the first paranormal team, because I want to get into that stuff.
The first paranormal team to set was March or April of 2014. And once again, when they got there, I remember we let them in. Hey, come on in. This is House from Hell. Come on in. Thanks for coming. And as soon as she walked in, the lead investigator was like, your house is humming. And me and Tina had not yet stepped foot outside the house all day. We didn't know what she was talking about. We were like, what do you mean the house is humming? What do you mean? She said, step outside. And we did. And she said, now go back inside. And we did. And sure enough, the house was humming. It was like a beehive humming noise. Which might explain why when they walked in, all of them, it was 3 of them, all their equipment died. The battery went dead on all their equipment. Right there. Just like,
that's a creepy frequency noise. I've heard that before. We've heard that before. It's very creepy. Yes. I don't like frequency.
Yeah, it is. And we, having seen it all, and they, I thought it was interesting their equipment died as soon as they walked through the doors. Like, as soon as they come through the door, everything went kaput, which slowed them down on getting ramped up, because now they had to recharge everything. Well, that takes another hour, 2 hours. But in the meantime, they did interviews with us. They did interviews with our neighbors, and they did start talking to some people, and they were trying to relieve us, because we were terrified. That day was the official, we're back, and that night, Once again, I remember because they set up all the camera equipment like most paranormal teams do. They caught the white mist coming out of the floor of my office, the doorway where the gray lady stood.
Hmm.
They saw the white mist come up. We all saw it on the camera. It was like white mist, and I want to see that happen twice or one more time where I live now. As a matter of fact, this is the only time I've ever seen it happen. So they caught that. Um, the sage stick she had or brought with her lit itself or lit up by itself right before she was about to smudge. They lit it up for her. Need any help? We
Wow.
got you. So there's that. And then
I
that's
got a question out here for you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
Just
I
real
think
quick.
it's pretty good and relevant to what you're saying. Jack asks, question for Keith. How did you maintain your sanity and composure throughout all of this? Seems like you stayed level-headed, and you do seem very level-headed. Like when you're discussing this, right? You seem calm. I think somebody else mentioned that before too. Like, seems really
Yeah,
calm, level-headed somehow while all this is happening. And I get working under pressure. I'm in IT as well, and I work sometimes under what seems like crazy pressures, right? If I mess this up, oh my God, the whole company goes down, that kind of thing. Is that a contributing factor, or are you just a calm person to begin
I think it's both. My mom says I get my calmness from my dad, mild mannered guy, but a lot of it is my occupation. I've been in IT for 35 years, 40 years, and you know, I started in the help desk and back in the early 90s or mid 90s were telemarketing when customers called and they were irate. And I remember during our training back then, to be on the phone back then, you had 6 weeks of training. Not today, it's maybe 6 hours, but it was 6 weeks of training. And they told you how to, during training, this is when I was at Verizon, how to de escalate or calm a customer down who's irate, who's calling you everything under the sun,
I bet.
talking about you, talking
For
about
us.
your mama, using racial epithets, talking about suing you, suing the company you work for. You, being the employee, cannot return the favor or you're out of there. You're gone. And they
For
were
sure.
really very strict about that. And I remember, so that growing up through the IT world and every job I've had has always been customer facing in the companies I work for. So it was that, my dad's demeanor, and yeah, that saved us. That you're right. If I didn't have that, I ain't gonna say there were nerve wracking moments or frustration or anger. It provoked me to anger plenty of times, and Tina and me. One thing that's being left out of the story that that's equally important is this is going to have create a wall, if you will, between me and Tina. Obviously, she's no longer my girlfriend, but they're going to start combating both of us and coming at us from different angles. Okay, Tina is going to be the insecurity of she's going to start accusing me of having an affair or having women in the house when she's not around because, believe it or not, she's starting to find female jury again in 2012, and she's finding them not on the staircase or the coffee table. She's finding female jury in the bed. She's finding female jury in the bathroom, in the
Almost
stall.
provoking her. Yeah.
And that, like anybody, even if I was to find a guy's shoe on my
Yeah.
side of the bed or her side
Plant
of
a
the bed,
seed, right?
yeah,
Plant a seed, and then you're going to start overthinking that. And
right. And that's what they're going to her with that. So she's becoming accusatory. Nobody wants to be naive. And I could tell her, hey, we live in the house from hell. That's the ghost doing that. Yeah, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe you're trying to take advantage of the ghost doing that. You know what I mean? Maybe you're
right.
using the ghost as a scapegoat. Okay. So and they know that because they listen 24/7, and so that toll is going to add into the frustration, which escalates and makes the activity even more. When we start arguing amongst ourselves, did you call the priest? No, I was tired. I was working all day. I was busy. You called the priest. You told me you was going to call the priest. Now he's not coming over. Well, I work all day. You got to call the priest. Your turn to call the priest. Did you pray? Did you print out the prayer instructions? No, we have no ink in the printer. I told you to go buy some ink. Why you didn't buy any ink? Well, I forgot. You know, and then you get all that, and they're listening. And they're like,
Oh yes, and they're feeding off your negativity as well.
yeah, they feed off. And then we go
That's
2
the
days
thing.
without talking to each other, or she's giving me the cold shoulder. I'm giving her the cold shoulder, and they're like doing all kinds of stuff. You know, we
Yeah.
sleep with our backs turned to each other now. Where it used to when we moved to the house, we slept with our faces turned to each other. Now we sleep with our backs turned to each other. So all this stuff is happening, um, and it's becoming very, 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 very dark. But I want to mention, because I don't want to forget this, I want to go back to the gray lady and talk about the previous tenant, Rhonda. Now, back in 2012, even 2013, even 2014, we still get mail occasionally, not often, occasionally to the house that makes you think it's from the people who used to live here. I mean, mail still comes for them. I would give those letters to the landlord. Okay, I asked him a few times because the investigators wanted to know, did anybody else living in the house have activity? Well, I don't know. I never met the people who lived here before. But if you got mail, then we know their names. If we got their names, we can go find them. I would try to find their new address. The landlord wouldn't give it to me. So I would give him the letters, and he would say he would do it. But he never would tell me where they lived or how to get in contact with them. One day the letter came in the mail, and I've seen this person over and over and over. I said, no, I'm not going to give this to the landlord. I'm going to sit on this one. Rhonda Jimenez. Rhonda Jimenez. I wonder, this is summer of 2014, if I go to Facebook and type her name in, can I find her? She's still in the area. And sure enough, I did. Aha, Rhonda Jimenez. Oh, okay. So I see her face. Okay, she lives in Yakima, Washington. Okay, that's coincidental. It's about 500 miles from here. Okay. Let me see if it's the same Rhonda that I'm holding right here. Because, Facebook, you can go to the year. You can go to the timeline. And I did. I found a time. I struck gold. I was so happy. I got to the year that she was in the Bothell house. I know my house. I'm living in it right now. I see Rhonda and her family, her kids with crayon and coloring books and all that. And they're in the living room, they're in the bedrooms and all that. She's in the Bothell house. This is Rhonda. Now let me read her wall. You can learn a lot about people about reading what they post. And I want to get a little time. I have not reached out to her yet, but I will. I am. And I'm reading her wall of 2008, 2009 when she's in the house. And I know enough. This is what her wall tells me because she's putting it out there. Her husband's away. He's an Alaska fisherman. She's in the home. One of their children, the son, the boy, is very sick. He's been in and out of the Seattle Children's Hospital. He has meningitis. She's right on the wall. He might die. Her husband is sending money back to pay the medical bills. On top of that, Rhonda is suicidal. She's writing on the Facebook wall that she's having thoughts of killing herself. This is on her wall. This is inside the Bothell house. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not hearing anything about ghost or activity or anything. She's not talking about that. But she is going through something dark. There's something dark.
Some problems there.
Some problems. Her son's bedroom, is my office.
Oh.
Remember the kid cough? Aha. I said it came from one of the rooms upstairs. Her son said, all right. I think I got enough to email Rhonda. I'm going to email her. But I told myself before I email her, I don't want to spook her. I don't want to come in there with all this mass ghost stuff, burning Bible stuff, because that's going to freak her out.
She's going to lead into. Yes.
I don't want to run her away. So I'm like, and I was so glad she didn't have her wall locked down to where I could not email her or read her wall. So I said, hey, Rhonda. First thing I did was I sent her a friend request. And I'm surprised she accepted because she don't know me. So she did.
Some girls.
She responds, And it wasn't right away, but it took a while, but she finally did. So I said, hey, Ron, my name is Keith. Thanks for accepting my friend request. Hey, by the way, I'm living in the Bothell house that you used to live in back in 2009, 2008, 2009. Um, me and my girlfriend, Tina, um, we're having some weird things happen. I didn't tell her what it was. I just said, we're having some weird things going on. Did y'all have any weird stuff? And I go and I back away from my keyboard because I don't want to tell her too much. And I wait. And you know, you can on Facebook, you can sort of see when the other person's typing, and so you're just waiting. That never happened. So
Right.
then I saw where she was typing, and it took a while. Look, she was writing a book, but she wasn't. So I know she was thinking. She was really thinking. And then finally she said, "Hey, yeah, she said, hey, it's funny that you should reach out to me right now or today or whatever." I'm paraphrasing, because it's an interesting time that you decided to reach out to me because me and my husband, we just got back together. This is 2014. We just got back together. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she said, the first response before that was when I asked about the house being weird. Well, she gave me 3 emojis of wink, wink, wink. That's when she said wink, wink, wink when I asked her, did they have anything weird? When I replied back, question mark, question mark, question mark, I gave her 3 question marks for her 3 emojis. And then she replied back, hey, it's weird that you should be reaching out to me now. We just got back together. And she said, that house broke us up. I'm not ready to talk about it now. So they asked me, can I talk to my husband first and I'll get back to you? And I'm paraphrasing, but she said something that, let me talk to my husband first and get back to you, because it's weird that you are reaching out to me from that house and we just got back together. She did let me know the house broke their marriage up.
Right.
I'm like, okay, all right.
Stressful with Tina, your own relationship, right? So
I thought that was interesting, but I was glad I struck gold, and I didn't want to. No, you got to tell me now, tell me now, tell me now. You know, was there ooze coming out the wall? No, I don't want to spook.
Yeah, no.
Keith, I mean, it leads up to some pretty nefarious things. Not to take away from anything, but let me just throw this picture
Real
here.
quick, yeah.
You know, you've got this on your closet doors, and that we've got that to talk about, and a lot of things. And I'm going to ask you, because we've been on for 2 hours, would you like to come back to finish the story? Can we do this in 2 parts? Not to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
I really want to tell it right. I feel like this is great. I love it. And, you know, I know Kristen loves it. It's a really good story. And it's not just a story. There's a lot of data. But there are probably a few things that we want to work out.
We call data evidence, so
to show that.
Evidence data, I should say.
Right.
But
evidence data.
People can can watch your stuff right now on Keith L. It's on YouTube. That is your handle, right? Keith L.
Well, yeah. I mean, all the videos are on my YouTube channel. You can find Keith Linder's videos just by Google searching on YouTube for Keith Linder or Keith L. And then you'll see there's about 40-something odd videos. Start from the very beginning of when we first moved into the house, of just me putting up innocent little cameras trying to capture the lights going off and on by themselves. But look at the walls, look at the ceiling, look at the floor. And as you get into year 1, year 2, year 3, you're going to see the conditions of the house change, just like everything else changed. Our demeanor, our mental focus, as well as the house, because as the activity ratchets it up, more damage is being done. Fires and whatnot.
Minions.
So
minions, the little guys, the little shadow type creatures.
I'll leave your listeners with a cliffhanger for if we're going to do a part 2. This is I want to tie off the Rhonda thing.
As long as you're cool with it.
Hit by a bus tomorrow. So Rhonda came back to me 2 months later after she told me she would come back to me. That's how long it took for her to discern to even tell me. I think it was 2 months. She came back and said, hey, sorry it took so long. to get back in touch with you. My husband did not want me to. I felt it being my Christian duty that I should. I owe you an explanation. And she said, let me just tell you like this. It was the beginning and the end in that place. Her words, not mine. That house was a living hell. She said, I tried, meaning Rhonda, I tried to commit suicide 4 times in that home. It destroyed our marriage. My son saw shadowy figures out the corner of his eye. He still sees them to this day. We woke up to kitchen cabinet doors being open. Remember I told you about that? Footsteps. She said, one day I was locked out. Remember the lockdown? I got locked out of the backyard sliding door. I put some baby formula on the stove, went outside, left the door open to have a cigarette. I had my baby in the high chair looking at me in the kitchen. As I turned to go back into the house, the sliding glass slid shut and locked. I had to use a rock to break in, to bust through the glass to get back into the house. She said the house was alive. That's her words. She said it felt like it was alive. And she said, I feel like I owe you and told you this stuff. Now, I want to say this, going back to the gray lady. When I saw Rhonda in the summer of 2014, by the time we got to October of 2014, I'm going to see the white lady, the white apparition. Both gray lady and white lady apparition looked exactly like Rhonda.
Really?
Which is the weirdest thing. I heard that earlier, and I was like, well, earlier I was checking stuff out and researching, and I was like, that is very, very weird that they would take her image. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, while she was living 500 miles away.
It's crazy.
But yeah, she was fortunately raped in the home. She told me she was raped in the home. It was a home invasion, home intrusion.
Oh my gosh.
And she was suicidal in the home. And all that is backed up in the book. I was able to pull the 911 records of those reports, and I put them in the book. So they're there.
Now, what's the name of your book again, please, for our viewers and our listeners?
The Bothell HELL House. Fitting name. The word Bothell has the word hell in it. I can't make this stuff up.
You're right. True.
Bothell's on Kindle, and it's on paperback on Amazon.com. Everything I've told you is in there, as well as links to the video, to the reports, and then the second book, Attachments, Poltergeist of Washington State, and then the third, which is Poltergeist, The Night Side of Physics. Yeah, that's it right there, the Bothell HELL House.
That's excellent. And I have to say, I haven't finished this book yet, but I just started it a couple days ago, and I'm tearing through the pages. This is not your typical paranormal book written by a non-author that can't write, right? Just a lot of the stock out there, let's be honest. You have a natural gift for this, my friend. This is a page burner. It's easy to go from page to page. It's like you're telling me the story personally, and it's enjoyable, and it goes by fast. Great book, guys. Totally recommend getting out and picking that up.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for agreeing to do a part 2. We'll talk about that off the air. Just as we're moving through, I realized we've been on for 2 hours, and I don't want to feel like you're rushing some of the best parts of the story. So maybe
we got to talk about the Katy Perry weekend when we come back on part 2.
Oh man, this gets so good. And
we have pictures and things, and
it's so much good
to show you guys. So
right. I'd rather take our time and maybe come back, and we'll do it some more, because it's a lot of fun. I love hearing you talk. I want to thank everybody out in the audience tonight that was cheering us on, asking good questions, and doing their thing. You guys are awesome. We'll be back Saturday night with Sorceress Cagliostro. We're going to talk about communing with the discarnate, and it's going to be fantastic. So thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Have a great night.
Good night, guys.
And stick around, Keith.
Yeah, thank you.